Oh, thank you. It is so wonderful to be in New-Brunswick. Chief Tremblay, I love your shirt. I love her too, and I will fight to protect Mother Earth with you. Thank you for welcoming us to your territory. I can tell you that you have one of the most inspiring leaders anywhere from any party in any province in Canada, and David Coon. You know, this green wave that is growing across Canada, and I know it started on the West Coast, and we have Elizabeth May to thank for planting that seed, and it's rising on the East Coast. But I cannot tell you how important David Coon's example of what he's been able to accomplish as a single Green MLA in the New Brunswick legislature, what a difference that made to plant our flag in Upper Canada. I used David's example over and over again because people kept asking me, what difference can one Green MPP make? And I would say over and over again, you know, look what Andrew Weaver's accomplished, look what Peter Bevan-Baker's accomplished, look what Elizabeth May's accomplished. But I pointed to David and your 4 private members' bills that have passed this legislature as truly a historic accomplishment. And so don't let anybody tell you that one Green MLA, or now we know 2 Green MLAs in PEI who are going to form the government, I think, after the next election. And 3 Green MLAs holding the balance of power in British Columbia. Don't let the status quo ever tell you that we will not make a difference, because we are all across this country. So I've been told, since I've been here the last, I don't know, almost 24 hours, not quite yet, that you have a little challenge in this province, that you are in a campaign where people are clearly tired of the status quo. They are clearly tired of the mainstream. And what we have seen in the United States and now in Ontario, that anger can go in 2 different directions. That anger can go in a direction of hate and in a direction of blaming others, or it can go in a direction of hope. And what makes the Green Party so special right now is that we are the one party in this country that is taking on the establishment, taking on the status quo, but we are doing it with hope and love, not hate. And so I have a message to the people of New Brunswick. I have personally witnessed on the floor of the House at Queen's Park what happens when that anger goes in a hateful direction. And believe me, that is not the direction you want to go. I mean, even today, we have the Premier of Ontario creating a constitutional crisis, threatening to use the notwithstanding clause to put forward anti-democratic legislation that is against this Constitution, and a judge has ruled that. That's what happens when you go in that direction. But when you go in the direction of hope, that's the direction that creates a livable future for our children. That's the direction that builds a clean economy and takes advantage of the $26 trillion economic opportunity we have. That's the direction that delivers on a basic income guarantee. That's the direction that supports local food farmers and fishers. That's the direction that ensures our children in the next 7 generations have a livable future. And that is your job over the next 2 weeks, to deliver that message of hope to the people of New Brunswick. And so my commitment to you is that I have been rounding up people in Ontario to make calls, to work hard, to put in the long hours, to get you over the top. And so we are with you. We are with you in spirit. We are with you in action. We are with you in our phone calls. We are fighting side by side with you for the future that we all want for this province and this country. And I challenge you to keep up the fight over the next 2 weeks. Go for it. Now is the time to go for it. Push through being tired and deliver some friends for David, because he needs a few green MLAs sitting beside him in that legislature. Thank you so much for the amazing work that you do. Thank you. Merci. Megwich.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank
you.
So
many
people
have
asked
if
having
two
MLAs
has
made
much
of
a
difference.
and
The
answer
is
yeah. Just
ask
Elizabeth,
or
David,
or
Andrew.
Ooh, and I've lost my space. Andrew up
Until
last.
year.
How
Lonely
and
exhausting
life
as
a
solitary
parliamentarian
can
be.
Sorry,
Mike,
cover
your
ears.
and
Just
look
at
how
in rejuvenated,
and
vigorous,
Andrew
and
Peter
are
now
since
having
colleagues
in
the
legislature.
can
You
imagine
what
David
will
look
like
and
what
he
will
achieve
with
some
help.
we
All
know
how
punishing
politics
can
be.
and
How
important
it
is
to
have.
friends
You
can
share,
responsibilities
sponsor
each
others,
bills
celebrate,
together
commiserate. It
almost
gets
to
the
point
where
you
can
finish
each
others. It
can
also
make
a
huge
difference
outside
the
legislature.
poll
Poll
released
this last
week
puts
the
PI
Greens
in
first.
place.
We
Are
changing
the
political
landscape
in
our
province.
and
Perhaps
beyond.
and
Also
challenging
some
mathematical
dogma.
on
PI
one
plus no
longer
equals.
2
It
equals
number
1. Merci, merci. Je suis très heureux, très fier d'être ici avec vous aujourd'hui. Thank you so much for inviting the mighty Hannibal and myself today to New Brunswick, to the center of the green Canadian universe right now. 3 years ago, when I was elected, that came after David's success here in New Brunswick. And political pundits referred to my chances of winning on Prince Edward Island variously as impossible, or that it would take a miracle. Well, hallelujah. Yeah. And despite those emphatic and incorrect and consistent forecasts from all of the island's sort of long-term seasoned political prognosticators, we succeeded. And we succeeded, as all Green parties in Canada have done, by electing a single seat. And that was fun. It was great. But then the immediate question is, what now? What do you do with that? How do you repeat that miracle? And there's almost no history of third-party success on Prince Edward Island. There was one previous third-party member elected, but he was unelected after a single term in office. And I'm a very patient man, as many of you know. That was not the first time that I had run. I'm an extremely patient man, and I'm not a man, extremely patient man. And I'm not prone to flights of fancy. I'm a realist, and I knew, or at least I thought I knew, that it would take a long time for political success to come on Prince Edward Island, where the traditions of voting are so deeply ingrained. And you're more likely to abandon your family's religion than you are to alter your genetically programmed vote for whichever party you were born into. So I'm a very patient man. And I figured that the work that I was doing would take some time, perhaps some generations, before we would have success on Prince Edward Island. I love it when I'm wrong. And politics, just like life itself, can be very funny. And you know, it sometimes takes us to places that we never expected that we would go, and events that are beyond our control sweep us up, and the only thing to do is surrender and just be carried along to wherever they take you. And my own life has been like that. My coming to Canada, my becoming a dentist, my marrying the wonderful Anne, my foray into politics, where I was a very reluctant and accidental candidate, actually, the first time, and the second time, and the third time. They were all completely unplanned, but delightfully random and happy and very significant events in my life. The Island Green Party has been growing, and we've been growing steadily. We've been gaining ground bit by bit in a very incremental and very thoughtful manner. And I often talk about the Green Party of Prince Edward Island in that long political race as the tortoise in the tortoise and the hare race. We're doing things right, and we're not interested in flashy campaigns. We're just building from the ground up, respecting that absolutely core green value of grassroots democracy. And the mighty Hannah's election last year, which, unlike, you'll remember that it was going to take a miracle. It was impossible for me to get elected. Well, the political pundits merely described Hannah's chances as extremely unlikely. So we took that to mean she was an absolute shoo-in. Like there was, and sure enough, against all the odds, and with the help of some amazing people in this room, David and Elizabeth and Mike all came to Hannah's district and helped out in the campaign. That's the way we do things within the Green Party. Hannah, of course, won. And PEI is famous for a lot of things, for our potatoes, for our beaches, for Anne of Green Gables, and we're also very famous for the rigidity of our political traditions. And that's what makes it even more extraordinary that for the first time in Ireland history, and I believe this is a Canadian first as well, the Greens, we've already said this, but the Greens topped the CRA poll, the sort of most respected poll here in Eastern Canada. We topped that poll for the first time ever, and that's been a really significant, an enormously significant event. And like so many other things like that, many things we cannot take credit for. It was a confluence of factors, the right time, the right place. But you also have to be an organization, an institution that is ready to capitalize on that opportunity when it arises. And I really hope we can do that. We're building a fantastic team. I should say Jordan Bobber is just on loan for those of you I take it many people in this room know who I'm talking about, Jordan, who is running David's campaign. Whoa, Jordan Bobber. Looking forward to having you home across the bridge, Jordan. And the other thing, of course, is there's a widespread dismay with conventional politics and conventional politicians, and Mike spoke to that, and that can go in various different ways. And that dismay, that disgust, that disappointment with conventional politics and unoriginal politics is evident everywhere you look. And I think people are hungry for something that is a departure from that standard political fare, and sometimes that appetite for something new will find fulfillment in strange and unpalatable places, and Mike has also spoken eloquently to that. But you know what? If you can provide that alternative, and Mike described it as an alternative of hope and love, if you can provide that alternative and do it in a visionary and a compelling and with humility, then people will gather around that. And that is what the Green Party is doing. That is what David is doing here in New Brunswick. That is what every single candidate that I've had the joy of speaking to today since Hannah and I arrived is doing. We spent a beautiful couple of hours with Megan Mitten in Memramcook and we were in Sackville, but what a wonderful candidate. Unfortunately, she can't be here tonight. She had a prior event and felt that getting votes in her district was more important than being here, and good for her, good choice. But what a fantastic candidate. And here in New Brunswick, and Mike has already alluded to this, you're blessed with an absolutely astonishing leader, a sweet, beautiful man, of great intelligence, eloquence, just a beautiful character, and the sort of person who, without even trying, gathers good people around him. And I see that here, I feel that here. This campaign has the buzz of a winning campaign, and that's a lovely thing. It's a beautiful thing. And it's a real honor and a pleasure for Hannah and I to be here tonight. And we want to thank you for inviting us. We will be back. But Megan's riding is just across the other side of the bridge. And many Greens from PEI have already contributed to her campaign. We will be back. But this is an extraordinary thing that is happening here in the Green Wave, which, as Mike said, started on the West Coast, has gone all across this great country. And we on Prince Edward Island will feed off what happens here in New Brunswick and vice versa. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming out here tonight to support your New Brunswick candidates. And it's a real honor and a pleasure for us to be here. Merci.
What a delight. You guys should see the view from here. You are gorgeous. Thank you. You're all here. 42 candidates. Now, David will introduce the candidates later. I'm going to try to say in the proper language. I know Mi'kmaq is Wallalan. Ron, is it Waliwan? Oh, thank goodness. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the welcome and the greeting to the traditional unceded territory. We are grateful for your presence, and I agree with Mike, great t-shirt. We love her. Yes. I know, David, I don't want to steal any of David's thunder, but I know that the Green Party of New Brunswick is the only party in this provincial election that has an Indigenous candidate. And the Green Party of New Brunswick has 3. I knew that. I knew that. So, what a night. I'm so thrilled. I love all my friends in the Green Party. It's a wonderful thing to so love and respect the people who are leaders of the Green Party from coast to coast to coast. It's an amazing thing. And I worked with Mike in Guelph, going door to door and watching him win people over who didn't think they were about to vote Green, and who realized, when they realized it was possible, that Guelph could make the breakthrough and have someone in Queen's Park that they were actually proud of. They realized that would be a trip. Wow. And as many people across Canada have said to me, yeah, Mike Schreiner winning in Guelph was the silver lining of that election. But it's thank goodness it happened, because Mike is the one who's there day after day, and boy did he go from the frying pan into the fire, because a Doug Ford government is not something Canadians have ever experienced. I can't think of it. There have been difficult premiers, but Mike's in there day after day. And as you were hearing from Marilyn, when you watch his Facebook and watch what he's putting out on social media, you're so proud, because there's a Green voice of reason and factual content and courtesy. There's nothing, Mike is up against Doug Ford, and I haven't heard him say a single thing that was unkind. There hasn't been a single low blow, no matter how tempting it might be. Mike Schreiner is the real deal, and he's a wonderful person and a great leader. And imagine him taking the time to be here today when everything else was going on. But we know, as Greens across this country, that a Green elected anywhere helps Greens elected everywhere. Peter Bevan-Baker and Hannah Bell, oh my goodness, that was that wasn't quite a speech. I don't know what to say. That was, I want to have a bottle of that so I can have it on a down day. That was fantastic. And I really wonder if, when you're running to be a candidate in the Prince Edward Island Green Party, is there an audition, and what instruments do you have to play? Because that's been inspiring for me as well. But there is no one who inspires me more than David Kuhn, the leader of the New Brunswick Green Party. I've had the privilege and the honor of being a friend, colleague, and worker in the environmental movement way before politics. With David and Janice, I've always known the Conservation Council of New Brunswick for an extremely high quality. They set a high bar for groups that have way bigger budgets. And, well, I went into the Green Party leadership race hoping I might be able to convince some good friends someday that it was time to actually start doing the icky work of politics. We'd been doing great work as non-government organizations, and a lot of people ask me, why did you decide to jump into politics? I jumped. Heck, I didn't join a political party till I was 52. It's not as if I hadn't had a lot of life experience and hadn't pushed it off for a long time. But we're out of time for letting politicians handle politics. It's time for the grown-ups to take over and start delivering what Canadians and New Brunswickers really want and really need. And I don't mean it pejoratively. It was just in the same spirit that if war is too important for the generals, democracy is too important for a bunch of old, hackneyed parties that want nothing more than to gain power and have forgotten what the heck they want to do with it when they get there. New Brunswick needs Greens. New Brunswick, we met today, we had a wonderful day meeting with students at University of New Brunswick and St. Thomas University. Yes, you guys. And I had students saying, my vision for 20 years from now is, can we get out from under the Irving zoning everything? How do we get people, one student said to me, how do we get people to understand that the long-term vision is what matters, and that short-term decision-making means we lose out on protecting our future? Maintenant, nous avons un besoin énorme. On doit agir contre la crise de changement climatique. On doit changer les politiques de confiance, les décisions les plus faciles. On doit faire les décisions difficiles parce que nous avons les défis et on doit faire face à les défis qui sont menaces à notre avenir. So it's important for the planet that we see Greens do well everywhere, not because we're building a political party, because we're prepared to set aside partisan advantage to ensure that our kids have a livable world, and that's why every single Green candidate is running, whether in New Brunswick or Prince Edward Island or in Sweden or New Zealand or in Brazil or in Uganda, or now where a Green finally got elected in Rwanda. Greens run everywhere. Because we share something in common. What we have in common is an understanding that we have a sacred obligation to our future, to our own children. We used to talk of future generations and the climate crisis as though it was out there. You know, we could think, oh yes, my grandchildren's children. Given what's happening now, the flooding now, the forest fires now, sea level rise now, we're not talking about a future generation. We're talking about the children whose names we know and whom we tuck into bed at night. We are talking about our own children, and we have to secure their future, and it is not a political game, it's real. Trust Kate's future. To Mike and Peter and David, I know that together as Greens, we will protect the world for everyone because we care about solutions that make sense. We're not about fake ideas just to get us through the next election. The Green Party of New Brunswick platform is a blueprint that could work everywhere. It's a brilliant document, and we should be replicating it everywhere. So tonight I say to you, you may be wondering, we've got 2 weeks to go. 14 days of hard work, and in this ballroom tonight, which is packed, what could possibly top this? How are we going to keep going? What's the nice treat at the end of the light at the end of the tunnel right before the election day? Well, I wanted to tell you today that one of my friends who also cares about electing Greens in New Brunswick has decided, because I can't get back here, I'll be in Parliament. I just want to let you know that on September 21st and 22nd, not in Fredericton, but in a couple of the ridings where we could use a boost to go over the top, David Suzuki's coming. So, you want a political miracle? Hallelujah, brothers and sisters. David Coon's going to bring it home. David, come on up.
Good evening. Bonsoir. Thank you, everyone, for coming here this evening. Thank you. Merci pour votre assistance ici ce soir, pour ce soirée. C'est très important that you're here tonight to share this very special moment in the campaign, because this is the turning point in a campaign. 2 weeks left. Well, 2 weeks from tonight is election night. Right? 2 weeks from tonight is election night. So I want to start off by, first inviting my wife, Janice Harvey, to accompany me on stage. Janice? Janice was the first president of the Green Party of New Brunswick, the founding president, for those of you who don't know. And she is the love of my life, the person who, together, we have been a team for, 30 years now. Legally 30 years, longer. Legally. So, ça me fait plaisir de vous présenter votre équipe verte. It gives me great pleasure to present your slate of green candidates. Now, we say, Greens are about change, but change doesn't appear on the ballot. If anyone goes looking, it's not there. But it actually is there in the name of every Green Party candidate in this room and those who couldn't attend tonight. That is change. So I want to invite, to begin with, Monsieur Charles Thériault, candidat for West. Et puis encore le deuxième candidat de Campbellton-Dalhousie, Annie Thériault. The third candidate I'll invite up to the stage for Bathurst East, Nepisiguit, St. Isidore, from Papineau First Nation, Robert Crisco. Et puis, le candidat pour la circonscription de Caracat, Yvan Derel. Et oui, c'est vrai, il est le fils de le Yvan Derel. He is actually the son of the Yvan Derel. Next, for the riding of Merci, Luann Savage. For Southwest Miramichi, Bédouin, Byron Connors. For Moncton East, Matthew Clark. Prochain, c'est pour la circonscription de Moncton Centre, mon vieux Jean-Marie Nadeau.
I'm a winner!
For the riding of Moncton Southwest, Sarah Caldwell. For the riding of Riverview, Stephanie Coburn. For the riding of Albert, Miranda Van Geest. One of my two deputy leaders, and the member for, she will be the member, the candidate for Gagetown, Petitcodiac, Marilyn Merritt-Gray. The member for the member. Yes, the member. We're getting there. Our candidate for Sussex Fundy St. Martin's, Fred Harrison. Our candidate for Hampton, John Sabin. Our candidate for Quispamsis, Mark Woolsey. Our candidate for St. John East, Linnea Astafan. Our candidate for St. John Harbour, Wayne Dreyer. Our candidate for St. John Lancaster, Mr. Doug James. And we have a father and son team, so our candidate for King Center, Bruce Dreyer. Our candidate for the Fundy the Isles, St. John West, Romy Hoof. And staying in Charlotte County for a minute here, our candidate for St. Croix, Donna Linton. our candidate for New Maryland Sunbury, Jenica Atwin. Our candidate for Fredericton North, Tamara White. Our candidate for Fredericton York, Amanda Wildeman. Our candidate for Fredericton West, Hanwell, Susan Jonah. Now this next candidate for Carleton York, I know she won't mind if I say her age, 81 years young, Sue Rickers. Our candidate for Carleton, the Deputy Mayor from Woodstock, Amy Anderson. Et mon autre chef d'adjoint, le candidat pour la circonscription de Madawaska-les-Lacs-Edmundston, Denis Boulay. Megan Mitten is our candidate for Mermacock-Tantramar et Kevin Russell, c'est notre candidat pour la circonscription du Kent-Nord. Kevin, in case for those who didn't get the video, Kevin and his partner, his wife, Rebecca Fraser-Chasson, and their partners have been awarded, recognized as Canadian Young Entrepreneurs of the Year. So he's in Vancouver receiving that prestigious award. But he's not staying long. I looked at his departure and arrival return times, and it's all good. It's going to be really quick. Before I get started here, I want to just say how humbled I am by our leaders from across this country, our national leader, Elizabeth May, Mike Schreiner from Ontario, Peter Bevan-Baker from PEI, and of course Hannah Bell from PEI from the legislature as well, and Thomas as well, being here tonight to support all of us, and all of you who are working with these candidates to drive the green wave home on Election Day on September the 24th. So Elizabeth mentioned today we are on campus at St. Thomas University, and in addition to campaigning around, we have something called the Toe Jam. No, what's it called? Vision Jam. The Vision Jam. The Vision Jam, a little different. So the Vision Jam. So I don't know, there were 25 or 30 students who participated, and the idea was to talk about their vision for the future of New Brunswick 20 years from now. It was inspiring. It was inspiring. We broke into groups and spent some time listening to what the students said and discussing and so on. And what that vision looked like was a New Brunswick that was zero waste, carbon-free, where everyone has a right to clean water, where there's no longer any spraying of hazardous chemicals over this province. where we live in energy efficient and green homes, and our energy system is fueled by the sun, by the water, by the wind, where everyone has the opportunity to participate to the full extent in their communities.
Yes.
That everyone is accepted and respected. Everyone, without exception. And that we have a government which serves the people, where there's little daylight between those who serve us and the citizens of this province. They're talking about change. They're talking about big changes. They had a vision that we share with them, and we will not let them down. They said they wanted a green economy that works for everyone. And that's what Louis Robuchon said in 1970 when he launched a task force into social development and participation. That he had brought equal opportunity, but everyone needed to benefit from that equal opportunity. And that's what we're going to see through. People say, well, David, this is New Brunswick.
Good reason.
And I say precisely, this is Nouveau-Brunswick. C'est Nouveau-Brunswick. The change starts here. Ça commence ici.
Chez nous.
Chez nous. Exactly. So it can go both ways. There's a lot of fear out there. And people will say, well, what about the Urbans? Well, what about the Urbans? They're flesh and blood like you and I.
Yes.
They're children under creation like you and I and all of the other species in this beautiful province. So my answer is, what about the government? What about the Premier? What about the Cabinet? You need and we need to have leadership in the Legislative Assembly, in the halls of power in Fredericton that is strong and courageous and willing to stand up for you, for your children, for their children, and for this incredible, beautiful province we call home. And it takes courage. Bullying goes on, intimidation goes on, and people have seen premiers after premiers back down, throw their own people under the bus to satisfy the wishes of the urban companies. And that's got to stop. That's got to stop now. Because if we're going to have a future, which we are going to have a future, we will not back down. We will stand up for the people of this province, for the future of this province, for this beautiful land, for our air and for our water. And we will ensure that we will travel the road towards reconciliation with the First Nations of this province. The Passamaquoddy, the Wolastoqey, the Mi'kmaq. Et ensemble avec les Acadiens et Acadiens aussi, nous allons bâtir le Nouveau-Brunswick fort, Nouveau-Brunswick durable, Nouveau-Brunswick équitable. It's absolutely important that fairness and equality stays strong, and we stand behind those principles, because as a party, We govern, we will govern, we will operate in the Legislative Assembly as I have from our values in a principled way. We will work hard to ensure those principles are upheld and that we model the kind of behavior, the kind of concerns, the kind of vision that we share with New Brunswickers across this province. New Brunswickers are fed up.
Yes.
New Brunswickers are
We.
scared about the future.
And I am too.
New Brunswickers are looking for hope. New Brunswickers are looking for a vision, for a party that they can place their trust in, for leaders that they can rely on, for people like them that they can feel will be with them, not above them, will be with them, not behind them, that will be with them, and when the tough gets going, will get out in front and clear the way. J'adore Nouveau-Brunswick. J'adore le peuple de Nouveau-Brunswick. J'adore notre nature. J'adore notre communauté, nos communautés. We live in a beautiful place, and we are of a size, and we are of a mind in this province that we can bring dramatic, significant, fundamental change that we need in this province to ensure that we have the kind of future we want for our children and our grandchildren. And that is our mission as Greens, because we've had neglect for too long. Things have kind of spun out of control. At the door, often people say it's a mess. What are you going to do? And yeah, it can seem overwhelming. But we need to think about why. We need to think about why. Why has there been so much neglect for so long by government after government after government? It's because after they get elected, they're worried about the next election. It's the first day in office. When they're in the Legislative Assembly, all they're trying to do is score points off of each other between the government and the official opposition, throwing each other under the bus. Why? Because they cater to special interests. They defer. They won't stand up for us. I will stand up for us. We will stand up for us. You can count on that. You have my word. C'est mon engagement. À vous. You know, there's no change without causing some thunder. There's no change without causing people to throw rocks, to kick back, to push back at you. And we're feeling that and seeing that. But we're strong, and we will withstand that. We'll withstand that because the people are behind us in this province. The people are counting on us in this province to provide the kind of leadership that they've been waiting for, that they need and that they want. Every one of these candidates has taken a leap of faith. A leap of faith. And every one of these candidates feels the weight of their communities on their shoulder, of the people they know in their communities on their shoulder, people living in poverty, the people who are homeless, the people who are worried about their children's future, the people who are facing mental illness, or whose children are facing mental illness and can't get the help, the people who are seniors and can't get home care in their homes because it's not available, because all we've heard is rhetoric with no substance, so people can't get the services they need when they need them, even though they assume they're there, and they're not. So we've got to make sure, and we would do so, that we will budget responsibly and sustainably to ensure we have strong public services to provide to the people of this province, to support our people so that the most vulnerable and everyone are served the way they should be served when they need that, whether it's health care or education or housing, environmental protection, whatever it is. That's what people expect, as citizens of this province, and that's what we are committed to deliver. Our campaign is filled with ideas, it's filled with positivity, it's filled with very hard work on the part of each and every one of these candidates and all of you in their teams who are supporting them. There's 2 more weeks to go. We can do this. It's only 2 weeks. C'est seulement 2 semaines. So we're looking towards September the 24th for a big breakthrough. A big breakthrough. And I have no doubt we're going to see it. There will be surprises dans chaque coin du province. Dans chaque coin du province. And I am so excited for that night to come. September the 24th. It's better than waiting for Christmas when you're a kid. You know the presents have been purchased. They might have been wrapped. They're not under the tree yet. Christmas morning is coming. So, work hard, be strong, be courageous, don't let anyone get you down in the next 2 weeks. I'm there for you. I will be strong. I will be courageous. And together, ensemble, we will accomplish great things on September the 24th of 2018.